It's early afternoon, Brevard County. I'm the Philosopher Pirate, and this is Florida at Large. First, I want to state thank you. New subscribers, page views, averaging over 1,000 a day. I sincerely appreciate it. I'm only 2 weeks into this. I'm really astounded and pleased, and thank you again. Appreciate you viewing and listening. Today, I'm going to make it a little bit more light than my usual, ramblings. Two stories today caught my eye on Florida and kind of pertaining to my lifestyle, so to speak. Being told by individuals, and thank you for the emails and comments, folks, and the donations. And by the way, I'm asking for donations for those who send me the emails until this project is self-funding with advertising and sponsorships, and then anyone that identifies themselves with their donation, an email address, or some way I can reach, I will return it if they wish. Accept it as a loan. I'm trying to do less actual computer technical work and more, and I want to exclusively basically do the videos and reporting on the events throughout Florida that affect people that are on the road and also everyday Floridians. Couple stories. First one, there's a land swap deal, Hernando County, Levy County. Basically, a golf course developer called Cabot Citrus something, Cabot Citrus Co-op LLC. This deal does not look that bad to me. Ben Cohen Dwar, he's the CEO. It's a Canadian company. They currently have a golf resort in the area of Brooksville, and it's their first American run golf course. They have golf courses in Bordeaux, France, Scottish Highlands, Caribbean islands of San Lucia. I'm reading this from their website. Players in, at this golf course they already have outside of Brooksville is they can tee off among pristine natural beauty. I did a little reading on the website. Now, I don't see this as that bad of a company. I would prefer a Florida company, with the development, but, it's a Canadian company. They tended to prefer not having golf carts. They prefer walking the courses. They're more in tune with nature than I would have expected. I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not saying that the land maybe is better left as pristine state forest, but they own roughly some land. They own 800 acres. They're willing to swap that with the state of Florida for the 300 and some odd acres. Need to look into this some more. Tampa Bay Times is trying to paint this in a partisan manner as, this is egregious and throwing DeSantis' name around, Ashley Moody, and so forth. And by the way, I couldn't read the story on the Tampa Bay Times. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I've already called out the CEO on this. But I'm forced to read the re-reported story on the Suncoast News, and then, of course, I did. I don't see it as much of a big deal. Again, though, the same group, the Acquisition and Restoration Council, has the final say before it goes to the legislature, I assume for budgeting and, so forth. Not sure, again, if this is an egregious as the Tampa Bay Times is trying to paint it to be. But I'm going to continue researching it, and I'll let you know. Next one is something I have a personal experience with. In Walton County right now, I was handed a news feed, again from Google, and they send it to me via the Wall Street Journal. Well, Wall Street Journal, as soon as I opened it, I didn't even have a chance to start reading the article. Paywall. Now, Google, if you're going to send me a feed on my phone, let me read the first article. If I want to read the second one or reread that article, then you can give me the paywall or whatever for that company. Don't, stop with this, Uh, Mr. Almar Latour, if I'm using the right prefixes, pronouns, he's the CEO of Dow Jones, Wall Street Journal, whatever. You know what, Mr. Latour, you got to be ashamed of yourself. Leave it at that. Getting back to the story, I was forced to read the re-reported story through another publication. Now, I'm sure the Wall Street Journal gets paid by letting these other agencies re-report their story. I don't know how all that works, but you know what? And I don't mind advertising. I don't mind having uh, you know, um, you know, um, see some ads. I don't like having to click off of ads to turn them off so I can read the story, but I'll tolerate that. It makes me not want to buy from that party since they're throwing ads in my face. I tend not to patronize them because being obtrusive. Um, anyway, and rude. It's just being plain rude. But anyways, the story is about Walton County conflict between private property owners along the beaches and tourists and also just Floridians that are beachgoers, their neighbors. They're trying to basically force, and I've seen the signs. I open water swim for exercise. I started doing more open water swimming because I had a workman's comp injury, which is still unresolved with my knee. I was advised not to run. I climb stairs, climb ladders, and so forth. It has affected my work and my income. It really has. But that's a whole nother issue. Hopefully, I can get that resolved sometime soon. I would run the beach, and that was one of the things I enjoyed doing. I'd run a beach and then run against the current. I'd look at the current, and then I would swim on my return. And sometimes I would always walk a little bit before I didn't just go straight from a run into a swim. I would walk, let my body adjust, and then swim. And I would swim back to my return point, or at least close to it, and then walk a bit. And when I would do that walking, I would retrieve other people's trash from the beach on my way exiting the beach to, for a freshwater shower. Well, now I'm not supposed to be running. So what I do instead now is I'll often swim with the current first, and I'm not against the current unless it's a real mild current. And then I walk on my return, and I fetch other people's trash that they litter the beaches with. I figure that's my way of paying rent. Well, I had an occurrence in Walton County, I believe. It might have been Okaloosa. This is going back a ways, but I had a gentleman, I'll just say that politely, a fellow, basically informed me that I was crossing private property, and I had to inform him, no, the Florida Constitution states up to the high tide watermark. Now, that's not a rogue wave or a spring tide. This is the regular high tide. Basically, if one keeps their feet in wet sand, nearly wet sand, or basically their feet in the water, it's not private property. That private property owner owns up until that point. I like the law the way it is, the statute. It's in the Florida Constitution. It's not just a statute. This is a constitutional, and I like it the way it is. A private property owner, they saved their lives, they retire, they should not have to deal with trash. Honestly, folks, I mean, some of these people, these beachgoers, they plop themselves down on the beach. They hardly ever enter the water. They spray all kind of terrible smelling sunscreen products and so forth on them. And then they play loud music that sometimes not everyone around them wants to hear. Sometimes you just want to hear the surf and the birds and just the sound of the wind. But no, they have to bring, their whatever, their intrusiveness, and obnoxious behavior basically. And these private property owners should not have to deal with that. But the same token, private property owners, you don't own the water and you don't own the shoreline. That belongs to everybody, according to the Florida Constitution. So if I'm walking along the shoreline, don't stop me and tell me I can't cross. This fellow did at that time, and I basically just asked him to call the police because I didn't have a cell phone. I was swimming. And by the way, I had a handful of trash that I had retrieved from his property. So I was helping him. And I wasn't on his dry sand. I know the rules. I know the Constitution. I said, well, just call the police. And he says, well, good. I'll have you charged with trespassing. I said, well, good. Then I'll have you charged with assault because you threatened me. And secondly, I'll have you charged with harassment. and we'll see how it goes in court. Well, he says, how much longer are you going to be here? I said, as long as it takes me to keep walking up the beach. So he basically walked away. He said something under his breath. It sounded like profanity, but you know what? What difference does it make? I understand his standpoint, and I also understand the standpoint of people that want to use the beaches, and there's limited access and so forth. We can all get along here, folks, but stop trashing the beaches. And not just with litter, with your behavior. You know, be polite and respectful, and maybe private property owners won't mind so much that you're camped on a towel for a couple hours and enjoying the beach. Maybe they won't be so upset about it if you conduct yourselves in a respectful manner. And that's basically where I'm going to leave it today. If there's two sides to every story. Sometimes there's 10 sides to a story. Take a step back, instead of taking a position. I'll leave it at that today. Hopefully, today will be a little less rainy. I've been dealing with quite a bit of it. And it's Brevard County. That's where I'm located right now. It's early afternoon. I'm the Philosopher Pirate. And this is Florida at Large.